That story first aired in April of 2017. The Naismith Hall of Fame underwent a $23 million renovation this year, and Christian Figueroa hoped the hall might take this opportunity to better recognize his great uncle. Christian first visited the Naismith a few years ago.
And immediately when we went to the history of basketball section, my wife spotted Leo in one of the pictures. Then I looked over a couple pictures over and I spotted him again. And I was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. How cool.
But Christian's excitement didn't last long because as he looked at the captions for those two photos, he realized Leo's name wasn't listed.
Not everybody was listed in the pictures, but there were other members that were listed. So I was like, oh, okay. When I get home, I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, is there any way you can add his name?
Next, Christian checked out the exhibit for the 24-second clock.
There was no mention of Leo Ferris. It was very specifically just Danny Bisons, full 100% credit.
Christian figured that the hall just didn't know about Leo's contribution, and he didn't expect them to take his word for it.
Evidence. I needed to submit evidence.
So Christian gathered together photos and newspaper clippings and photocopies of contracts, letters, anything he could find that proved his uncle's place in history. All told, he sent the hall 150 pages of evidence.
I did not receive a reply.
A couple of months ago, when the hall reopened after that $23 million renovation, Christian immediately went for a visit. He made a beeline to the history of basketball section, but when he got there, he discovered that the two photos of Leo were gone.
So I went to the virtual exhibits and I started plugging in names. I started clicking on pictures. And long story short, most, if not all, of the National Basketball League portion of the history was basically taken down. It was very shocking. It was very frustrating.
Christian kept plugging away, clicking on names in the virtual exhibit, and finally he found mention of the Shotclock in a short blurb about Hall of Famer Dolph Schayes. It said,
Syracuse owner Danny Bisons and sidekick Leo Ferris push for a shot clock. They didn't use the word executive. They didn't use the word general manager. And, as a family member, regardless of what their intention was, I couldn't help but feel insulted. My antennas were like, wait, is this a jab? We've been communicating for 5 years. In this moment, he was reduced to the word sidekick.
Christian Figueroa is careful with his words. He doesn't want to embarrass the Naismith Hall of Fame and hurt his great-uncle's chances of being inducted. And who can blame him? By forcing the merger that created the NBA, Leo Ferris embarrassed the powerful men in charge. And in return, they tried to write him out of history. I only have the platform that Only a Game has given me for about 20 more seconds, and I'm going to use my time to say this. You might not actually care about who gets inducted into a sports hall of fame, especially with everything that's going on right now. Lots of people don't, and that's okay. But truth matters. History is important, and a 70-year-old grudge shouldn't keep Leo Ferris from getting the recognition he deserves.